It's well known that The Merchant of Venice has anti-Semitic elements, but it's interesting to think about how this prejudice is expressed. For example, Shakespeare uses the words Jew, Jews, Jews, Jewish or Jewess 79 times in all of his plays put together. But 71 of these uses occurs in The Merchant of Venice. On 32 of these occasions, Shylock is referred to using the definite article, the Jew. This marks him out as a specific type, something other than the majority of characters in the play. It is the quality that defines him. Just imagine yourself being referred to by a majority of other people that aren't like you as the atheist, the Christian, the Muslim, the Buddhist. You get a sense, I think, of how isolating this act of naming actually is. On 7 occasions a qualifier is also added, but the words added are hardly flattering. They're villain Jew, faithless Jew, dog Jew, harsh Jew, currish Jew, and then wealthy Jew and rich Jew. He's only called Shylock, in fact, 18 times, and we might contrast this with Antonio, whose name is used 44 times. Now, this frequent use of the or the addition of insulting adjectives must be seen in relation to the way Shylock refers to himself in the famous speech in Act 3, Scene 1. Here he uses the indefinite article. Hath not a Jew eyes? Hath not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions? And he compares himself to a Christian. He then includes himself as part of a wider Jewish community and asks whether Christians think that Jews don't bleed, laugh and die in the same way as Christians do. This makes it all more general perhaps, but in a way also more individual. It makes us think of ourselves. And while Shylock is the main object of prejudice, his daughter Jessica, who elopes with a Christian Lorenzo, is also subject to doubt and suspicion throughout. When Graziano and Salarino wait for Lorenzo outside Jessica's house, the first thing they discuss is the fact that Lorenzo is late because he might have lost interest in Jessica. Towards the end of Act 2, Scene 6, as Lorenzo waits for Jessica to leave her house with Shylock's jewels, you'll notice he says that although he loves her, for she is wise if I can judge of her, and fair she is if that mine eyes be true. So although he says that she has proved herself true, these repetitions of the word if induce some doubt in our minds. And the fact that she reportedly sells her own mother's ring to buy a monkey also paints her in a bad light. We might also note that in the following scene, when Jessica and Lorenzo enter with a messenger called Celerio, 2 things happen. First, Graziano refers to them as Lorenzo and his infidel, whilst Bassanio greets Lorenzo and Celerio and just simply ignores Jessica, saying, Lorenzo and Celerio, welcome hither. In addition, in Act 3, Scene 5, the clown Lancelot reinforces her otherness by saying she's damned because she was born a Jew. And finally, there's the sense of unease that remains in Act 5, Scene 1. Now, the opening of this scene is lyrically beautiful. It begins, the moon shines bright in such a night as this. And that refrain, in such a night, is repeated 7 times, with Jessica and Lorenzo completing each other's lines and telling stories of famous lovers. But the examples they use are disturbing. Troilus and Cressida, who is known for faithlessness. Pyramus and Thisbe, where they're separated and die. Dido, who was deserted by Aeneas, and Medea, who was deserted by Jason even though she saved his father. And finally Lorenzo describes Jessica. In such a night did Jessica steal from the wealthy Jew. The apparently lyrical lines really hide a sense of disquiet that's occasioned by these examples. And we're left, I think, with the question, do they really trust each other? I think that these extracts bring home the divide between Christian and Jew, between the majority and the other, which is one of the reasons, I think, that this play still resonates with us today. Give a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and subscribe now so that you never miss any of my future posts.